you're doing everything right, but deep down, you still feel lost. What if the answer isn't doing more, but understanding why we suffer? Have you ever felt like your mind just won't stop? Like no matter what you do, there's a quiet tension under everything? You could be brushing your teeth, walking your dog, or trying to fall asleep, and your brain keeps going. Did I reply to that email? I'm so behind this week. Why can't I just get it together? And even when you finally sit down to rest, your body is there, but your mind isn't. It's either in the past, replaying that one conversation, or in the future, worrying about what's coming next. This isn't just you. This is modern life. We live in a world that rewards speed, productivity, and hustle. But what gets ignored is your nervous system, your breath, your emotions, your soul. It's no surprise that stress has become an invisible epidemic. The World Health Organization reports that stress-related disorders are among the leading causes of illness worldwide. In the U.S., more than 80% of adults say they've felt overwhelmed or burned out in the past year. And here's the hardest part. Most of us think it's our fault. That if we just tried harder, meditated more, or became more positive, the stress would go away. But what if I told you this? Stress is not just a personal failure. It's not a sign that you're broken. It's a signal, an invitation to look deeper. And what if I told you that more than 2,500 years ago, a quiet man under a tree faced this same question? That he looked at human suffering, not to escape it, not to shame it, but to understand it. And what he discovered became one of the most profound, healing insights in human history. We know it today as the Four Noble Truths, the foundation of Buddhism. But more than a philosophy, it's a mirror, a guide, a path out of suffering and into awareness, compassion, and freedom. And no, you don't need to be a monk or shave your head to understand it. This wisdom is for you. For anyone who's ever sat alone at night and whispered, I just want to feel okay. Let's begin. Why do we suffer so much in a world that seems to have so much? We live longer, have more access to technology, entertainment, and medicine than any other generation. And yet, anxiety, depression, and disconnection are everywhere. So what's going on? To understand stress, we must first understand the human mind and how it has evolved. Thousands of years ago, stress served a clear purpose. If danger appeared, your brain would kick into survival mode. Increased heart rate, shallow breathing, muscle tension. Your body was preparing to run, fight, or freeze. The problem is, your nervous system hasn't caught up to modern life. Today, that same stress response gets triggered, not by tigers, but by traffic jams, emails, social expectations, and relentless to-do lists. Your brain can't always tell the difference between real threat and perceived threat, between actual danger and the fear of disappointing someone. And so, your body stays stuck in survival mode. Over time, this creates what psychologists call chronic stress, a state where your system is flooded with cortisol, adrenaline, and tension on a daily basis. But here's what makes modern stress so unique. We're not just overwhelmed, we're also disconnected. We live in a culture that says, be more productive, even if you're exhausted. Always be positive, even if you're hurting. Never stop working, even if your body says, please rest. The result? We don't just feel stress in the body, we internalize it. We start believing that stress is who we are, and this belief makes everything worse. Think of it like this. If you were walking through a dark forest and suddenly someone handed you a flashlight, would you blame yourself for not seeing clearly earlier? Of course not. Yet when it comes to our inner suffering, we blame ourselves rather than learning how to see. This is why Buddhist wisdom is so powerful, not because it tells you what to think, but because it teaches you how to look, how to turn towards stress with curiosity instead of shame, how to sit with discomfort without getting swallowed by it, how to loosen the grip of fear, not by fighting it, but by understanding it. In psychology, we talk about reframing thoughts. In Buddhism, the invitation is even deeper, to see the nature of mind itself, to go beyond reaction and into awareness. That's where the Four Noble Truths come in. They offer not a quick fix, but a roadmap, a quiet, profound path to freedom, not by avoiding life, but by waking up within it. Life is suffering. But is that all Buddhism really says? At first glance, the First Noble Truth sounds discouraging. There is suffering. It seems almost pessimistic, but the original Pali word the Buddha used wasn't just pain or suffering in the ordinary sense. It was dukkha, a word that means much more. Dukkha is the feeling that something is off, misaligned, unstable. It's the gap between what we expect and what life delivers. It shows up in obvious ways. Grief when someone you love dies. Anger when you're treated unfairly. Frustration when plans fall apart. But dukkha also shows up quietly. The emptiness after getting what you thought would make you happy. The anxiety of having too many choices. The fear that no matter how hard you try, you're never truly enough. You see, the First Noble Truth isn't saying that everything is suffering. It's saying, wherever there is attachment, there is unease. Wherever we demand that life give us permanent satisfaction, life disappoints us. Because life is not built that way. It's always changing. And that truth isn't meant to depress us. It's meant to awaken us. Because if suffering is part of life, then we can stop blaming ourselves for feeling it. We can stop thinking something's wrong when we feel lost, anxious, or tired. Pain is not proof of failure. It's part of the human experience. And when we stop resisting it, we begin to open to something deeper. Compassion. When we truly understand the First Noble Truth, we start to see our suffering and others with new eyes. We stop judging and start listening. We see a friend crying, and instead of saying, "Cheer up," we say, "I've been there too. Tell me more." We see our own anxiety not as a flaw, but as a message. You're carrying something heavy. Let's sit with it. This is where healing begins. Not in pretending everything is fine, but in turning toward what hurts with honesty and kindness. That's what the Buddha meant. Face suffering clearly, and it will begin to change. Suffering arises from craving, attachment, and ignorance. If the First Noble Truth is about recognizing suffering, the second is about understanding its roots. And here's where it gets powerful. The Buddha didn't say suffering is caused by pain itself. He said suffering arises from the way we relate to pain. Let's break this down. The core of the Second Noble Truth is tanha, often translated as craving. It comes in three forms. 1. Craving for pleasure. We chase experiences, highs, comfort. 2. Craving for existence. We grasp for status, identity, permanence. 3. Craving for non-existence. We try to avoid, numb, or escape pain. Let's apply this to modern life. Have you ever scrolled endlessly on your phone even though you're exhausted? Replayed a conversation in your head 20 times, wishing it went differently? Bought something to feel better, but felt empty a day later? That's not your fault. That's the human mind, seeking relief through craving. We believe, if I just get this raise, this relationship, this body, then I'll be happy. But it never lasts. Why? Because what we're really craving isn't the thing, it's a feeling. And feelings by nature are impermanent. Here's the trap. The more we chase, the more we suffer. And it's not just about pleasure. We also resist what we don't like. We try to avoid difficult emotions, bury uncomfortable memories, distract ourselves from loneliness. But what we resist persists. That's the second noble truth. Suffering arises when we grasp, cling, or push away. It's not that wanting things is bad. It's the attachment, the belief that I must have this to be okay, that creates suffering. And the irony? Even when we get what we want, we still suffer because we fear losing it. Here's an example. You work hard to buy a beautiful home. At first, you feel proud, happy, safe. But slowly, you start worrying about the mortgage, about market crashes, about burglars. What started as joy becomes stress. That's the cycle of craving. But once you see it, you have a choice. You can begin to shift from grasping to letting go, from resisting to accepting, from reacting to observing. This doesn't mean you stop wanting things or stop caring. It means you stop letting your happiness depend on whether life meets your demands. You move from, I'll be happy when, to, I choose peace now. And here's the miracle. When you loosen the grip, even slightly, you suffer less. That's not weakness. That's freedom. There is freedom, and it's closer than you think. So far, we've acknowledged suffering and uncovered its roots in craving and resistance. Now comes the most hopeful insight in all of Buddhism. Suffering can end. Let that land for a moment. Freedom is possible, not in a perfect life, not in a distant heaven, but right here, in this very body, this very breath. The third noble truth is called Nirodha, the cessation of suffering. But what does that really mean? Doesn't mean you'll never feel pain again. Life will still have its losses, illnesses, and uncertainties. What it means is, you no longer need to suffer unnecessarily. Imagine holding a heavy backpack you've carried for years. It's full of guilt, anxiety, old stories, unmet expectations. You've gotten so used to the weight that you don't even notice it anymore. Then one day, someone gently says, you can put it down. And you do. Not because the world has changed, but because your relationship to the world has changed. That's Nirodha. It's the moment you stop blaming yourself. The moment you allow grief to flow instead of fighting it. The moment you say, I don't need to prove anything. I am enough. Freedom is not a destination. It's a practice of letting go. Letting go of the need for life to be perfect, the pressure to always be in control, the identity that says, I am only worthy if I achieve. In that space, something beautiful emerges. Peace, stillness, clarity, compassion. This is not passive resignation. It's active acceptance. It's waking up and seeing that suffering is optional when we stop feeding the stories that create it. And here's the key. You don't have to get rid of all craving at once. You just need to become aware of it and take one gentle step toward release. Every moment of mindfulness is a step toward Nirodha. Every breath you take with awareness loosens a knot inside. This isn't philosophy. It's a lived experience. And to support this experience, the Buddha offered not just ideas, but a path. Let's walk that path now. So far, we've learned that suffering exists, that it has a cause, and that it can end. But how? The Buddha didn't just leave us with insight. He left us with a way forward, a path, a quiet, steady direction toward peace. He called it the Eightfold Path. But don't let the name intimidate you. This isn't a list of commandments. It's not a rigid rule book. It's a gentle guide, a way of living that helps us come back to ourselves. Let's walk through it together, slowly, like a peaceful stroll through a quiet garden. It begins with how we see. Right view. This is the foundation. It means seeing life clearly, not through the fog of fear or desire, but through the lens of wisdom. We begin to understand that everything changes, and that clinging only brings more pain. With right view, we stop expecting permanence from an impermanent world. Next comes our intention. Right. Intention. It's asking yourself, am I moving through life with kindness? Am I driven by love or by fear? Right intention invites us to let go of anger, let go of greed, and walk forward with compassion in our heart. Then, how we speak. Right speech. Words carry energy. This path asks us to speak truthfully, gently, and purposefully. No harsh criticism, no gossip, no words meant to wound. Instead, we use our voice to heal, to encourage, to connect. And then, how we act. Right action. It's about doing what is honest, what is kind, and what doesn't cause harm. It's the everyday choices, how we treat others, how we treat animals, how we treat the earth. Right. Action is love in motion. What about how we make a living? Right. Livelihood. This means earning in a way that supports life, not destroys it. Jobs that don't exploit others or cause unnecessary harm. In today's world, this might mean asking yourself, does my work align with my values? Am I creating something that matters? Then comes effort, but not the kind that exhausts. Right effort. This isn't about pushing harder. It's about cultivating what's wholesome and gently letting go of what drains you. You don't need to force yourself to be perfect. You just need to water the right seeds. And now, we arrive at the heart of the path. Right. Mindfulness. This is presence. It's the practice of noticing your breath, your thoughts, your emotions, without judgment. When you're washing dishes, wash dishes. When you're listening to someone, really listen. Mindfulness is how we return to the only moment that's real, this one. And finally, stillness. Right. Concentration. This is focused awareness, often cultivated through meditation. It's the calm in the middle of chaos. The ability to sit with your thoughts, your discomfort, even your fears, without being swept away. Each of these steps supports the others. They're not linear, they're a circle, a way of being. And the beauty of this path? You don't have to master it overnight. You don't have to walk it perfectly. You just have to take one step, and then another. Maybe today, your step is pausing before you react. Maybe it's choosing a kinder word. Maybe it's closing your eyes and simply breathing, fully, deeply, for the first time all day. That is the path. You're already on it. Let's breathe together and make this real. All of this, these truths, these teachings, they're not meant to be stored in your head. They're meant to be felt, lived, practiced. So now, let's try something simple. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes, or soften your gaze. Take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Let your hands rest. Now place one hand over your heart. And say quietly, or in your mind, it's okay to be tired. It's okay to feel overwhelmed sometimes. I am learning to meet myself with kindness. Take one more breath, and as you exhale, imagine letting go of one thought that no longer serves you. Just one. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to become someone else. You are already on the path. Every moment of awareness is a step toward freedom. The Four Noble Truths are not abstract ideas. They're mirrors. They invite you to see your suffering without shame, understand your pain without judgment, open your heart without fear, and they remind you of this: you are not alone. You are not broken. You are a human being, learning to live with wisdom and care. So today, if you remember just one thing, let it be this: peace is possible. And it begins now, right here with you. If this message brought you comfort, clarity, or calm, consider sharing it with someone who may need it today. Save it and return to it whenever stress overwhelms you. And leave a comment below. Let me know which truth spoke to your heart most. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free.